Jeff Brown here. I just flew 1,200 miles and I'm outside the home of former billion-dollar hedge fund manager Larry Benedict. And I'm here to do something completely different than you've ever seen me do before, something that I believe could have a big impact on your financial future. And it has to do with an entirely new type of trading and a new market that most people have never traded in before. Now, if you know my research, you know that I'm known for making big calls on technology and biotechnology, any kind of growth assets, and getting them right. In 2015, I recommended Bitcoin when it was just trading at $240. In 2016, I recommended NVIDIA at a split-adjusted 66 cents. And that's not to mention companies like Tesla, AMD, and countless others, which are up many thousands of percent. Now, I tell you this because every single one of those big wins comes down to one thing. As a former senior technology executive and as an angel investor to hundreds of Silicon Valley startups, I know technology and growth better than any financial journalist or Wall Street analyst could ever hope to. When you have a true edge in any market, it puts the odds of success in your favor. Now, over 30 of my personal investments have returned between 10 times my money and as much as 259 times my money. And it's not because I'm a genius, it's simply because of my edge. And that brings me to why I am here today. Several weeks ago, on a private phone call, Larry told me he was preparing to start trading what he calls the last unrigged market in America. It's a place where billions of dollars are up for grabs every week and where Larry believes ordinary Americans can get the edge. Now, this isn't my first rodeo. As a publisher of investment research, people come to me all the time claiming to have some kind of magic system. And I have to say, most of it is complete garbage. So I told Larry what I tell everyone, that don't tell me it's great, show me the results. Now, a few days later, 8:30 on a Tuesday, I received an email telling me what to buy, and 41 minutes later came the sell instruction, a fast 77% profit. Was I impressed? Well, honestly, no. Anyone can get lucky once. And I've seen gains like that plenty of times before. And a few days later, May 5th, one of Larry's team members made the next real money trade. The next day it closed with a 519% gain. Now that's a big number, but 2 wins in a row isn't really enough to excite me. The next 2 trades closed for gains of 450% and 421%, respectively, in just 31 hours. All from this entirely new market. Day after day, the trades kept coming, and if you look at your screen, you'll see the full list. Now, those are all real money trades, made over a span of about 2 weeks. In total, 77 trades, 63 winners, 14 losses, in just 16 days. And that's why we're here today. 63 winners out of 77 trades is far too many to be random, luck, or chance. So you've made a great decision to join us today because what you're about to see may be the single biggest trading advantage that I have seen in 50 years. And believe it or not, it has nothing to do with me or tech stocks or anything that I've ever covered before. So let's go inside.
I'm here with legendary tech investor Jeff Brown, who is the founder of Brownstone Research, one of the most widely respected tech investors in America. And we're inside the home of this man, Larry Benedict, who is the founder of Banyan Equity Management, one of the top 1% of hedge funds in America. And Larry is famous, always like to say this, bring it up. He went 20 consecutive years without a loss. And that was profiled actually in Hedge Fund Market Wizards, right? Is that the name of the book?
Yes.
Right alongside top hedge fund icons like Ray Dalio and Ed Thorpe. So
it's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. So I feel very fortunate to be sitting between 2 legends here. And I got to tell you, I am really intrigued to hear what we're going to talk about here tonight. So just to set this up for everybody watching, you think you found a new way to sort of level the playing field for everyday Americans and give regular folks out there a shot at tapping into some new, fast-growing market, which is quietly generating billions of dollars every month, even though apparently 99% of Americans have never heard of it. So we got to get into this. Larry, clear this up for us. What is it that this is all about?
Sure, Chris. I've been in these markets for 40 years, and what I'm seeing right now, I've never seen anything like it. Every market I've ever traded, the house always has an edge. Dark pools, high-frequency trading firms, front-running your orders, algorithms that can see your trades before you even place them, and the game is totally rigged, and we all knew it. But a few weeks ago, I began trading a brand new market, one that up till now, I had never traded before, and frankly, I kind of dismissed. But after what I've seen, I've come to view it as what may be the last unrigged market left in America. It's fast, it's fun, and I believe it's a genuine shot for the little guy to put a P on the page and put themselves on the path to more monthly income and greater financial security. As far as I know, we're the first in the financial research industry to share this with our readers, and I'm really excited to help you take advantage.
Right. So we're on the cutting edge here, and I'm excited to hear more about this, obviously. Let me ask you, when you say brand new market, obviously this is then, it's not stocks, it's not options, it is something totally different?
Chris, totally different from anything I have ever shared before.
But Chris, when Larry first brought this to me, I thought he'd kind of lost his mind. I mean, it made some of the members of my team a little uncomfortable.
Really?
Because it's so new. It was completely unfamiliar to everybody. Like cryptocurrencies were back when I first recommended my first one in 2015. And just like crypto, when we saw the numbers, I knew we had to bring this to you now. Today, my position was it simply could not wait.
Well, you just mentioned the numbers. I know when you spoke on the phone earlier, we talked about maybe this is a good time to bring those up.
Oh, yeah. Sure, Chris.
All right. So take a look here on the screen. Let me read through this here. 77 trades, 63 winners. Now, those were real trades. They were made with real money on the line, all in 16 days here. I got to ask, how the heck is that even possible?
Well, Chris, I mean, that's why we're here. I mean, to find out from Larry exactly what he's doing. And later, if you're interested, I'll show you how to get your name on Larry's private alert list right next to mine.
Well, that's good. I may take you up on that offer. So, Larry, let's not keep everybody in suspense here. What is this new market specifically that you've been trading?
Sure, Chris. It's called the prediction markets.
Prediction markets. You know, I've actually been hearing that term pop up a little bit in the last few months, but I'm not sure that I personally, maybe a lot of people watching don't understand what that really means at this point. What exactly are prediction markets?
It's the fastest growing market in America. It's regulated and federally approved, where for the first time you can place a trade and profit on the outcome of almost anything that consists of real world events.
Like what?
Almost anything, Chris. Political events, economic data, for example, you can trade on the outcome of jobs numbers, CPI, and Fed decisions.
Or in financial markets, you can trade around the price changes in Bitcoin, for example, or oil, gold, any commodity, really.
You can trade earnings calls, geopolitical events, sports. You can even trade outcomes like who gets eliminated from a TV show, who wins a championship.
Well, see, the first thing I think about when I hear this is sports betting, right? So are we talking about gambling here?
Well, the way most people do it, it is gambling. And that's a shame, because what I found is this might be the last honest market in America. In the prediction markets, you're trading peer-to-peer. You see the same odds. You have the same opportunity to buy at the same price. If you're right, you win. It's that simple.
And it's all based on the outcome of a real world event that happens on a precise date. So for example, will the next CPI report come in above 4%?
Right, Jeff. It all comes down to a simple question. Will this outcome happen by this date? Yes or no? To use Jeff's example, you think the CPI is coming in below 4%. You go on the site and you see the market is pricing it at 40% or 40 cents.
Right. And, looking at odds and things, I'm not a math guy. You guys know that. I've always found it a little confusing when I look at odds. So what specifically does the 40 cents mean?
Well, it's the odds based on how people are trading the outcome. In this case, the market is telling you there's a 40% chance this will happen and a 60% chance it's not going to happen.
All right. So it's out of 100%. All right. That's simple enough.
Now, say you have the reason to believe it will be higher than that. So you just place a trade saying yes.
Right. And how much do you have to invest?
Well, as much as you want. You can put in as little as $1 if you'd like. When the announcement happens 3 days or whenever later, let's say it comes in at 4.2%, you just made 150% profit in just 3 days.
All right. So just to make sure that I've got this, Larry, instead of guessing where a stock might be 6 months from now, I'm basically placing a yes or no trade on a specific outcome that comes out on a specific day.
Yeah, you've got it exactly right, Chris.
Okay.
And here's what's wild. 2 years ago, prediction markets were nowhere, doing about $50 million a week only in volume.
And now?
5 to 6 billion weekly.
Holy, up 100 times in 2 years?
And most people had no idea. It's the fastest growing market in America. Billions of dollars are running through it every week. Analysts at Bernstein say prediction markets trading volumes are likely to reach 1 trillion in the US by 2030. That's how much money is on the table.
That's incredible. Why isn't everybody talking about this?
Well, it surprised me too, Chris. I mean, especially when Larry told me about all the big funds who are already in the prediction markets.
Jeff, Citadel is in there. Susquehanna is in there. Jane Street is making markets.
I mean, Chris, these are some of the biggest, most sophisticated quant trading firms and market makers on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
The same firms I competed with for 20 years on Wall Street. And let me tell you, when these sharks are circling, you know there's big money at stake.
I mean, plenty of regular people are making serious money here too. The New York Times Magazine ran a cover story on this topic. A guy who goes by Prince Hal online, struggling screenwriter, started with $2 on Kalshi, which is a major prediction markets exchange.
Right.
Chris, he walked away with over 150 grand. One CPI trade alone, like the example that we were talking about earlier, paid him $17,000.
And Jeff, he's not alone. Another guy told NPR he made $100,000 in a single month.
Right. Now, these are not professional traders.
Not even close. Just regular people, and that's the point. These markets are open to everyone. Edge is in this market, and it doesn't come from having faster computers or better data feeds. It comes from being able to read probability correctly and knowing when to place a trade.
And that is a skill that Larry has been honing for over 40 years trading securities.
Right. I definitely, and he's been honing it very, very well. So forgive me, Larry, I do not mean to offend you, but Jeff, I need you to be my credibility check here.
Okay.
When you went and looked at these prediction markets yourself, these platforms, you mentioned Kalshi, tell me, what did you find?
Well, the big one in the US, Kalshi, is already regulated by the CFTC. It's the same federal body that oversees the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
The investors include Sequoia Capital, Andreessen Horowitz. These are two of the top VC funds in the United States. Morgan Stanley, one of the top investment banks. And it's valued at $22 billion as of this year.
And CNBC and Fox Business now display Kalshi data on screen as part of their regular coverage.
I didn't know that. So when I've seen those numbers in the corner of the screen on Fox Business,
that's Kalshi. I mean,
okay.
Chris, you've already been watching it. You just didn't know what it was.
So Larry, why is it that you're so excited about this?
Well, Chris, in short, it reminds me of back in the day, and I'm going to date myself here, before the after-hours markets for stock were opened after 4 p.m. Remember that?
Vaguely.
Well, for anyone here under 50, there was a time when you had no opportunity to trade stocks after 4 p.m. Right. Then the exchanges came on and started giving after-hours prices on IBM, Intel, and all the big names. So you had a new after-hours market. There were wildly inefficient markets. You could arbitrage between one and other. You had a market on one exchange like Ready showing IBM at $141 a share, and another exchange like Bat showing it at $142.
And so what that means is you could buy it at 141 and instantly sell it at 142. It was literally that simple.
Right. But now how does that apply to prediction markets?
Well, the way that I see it, Larry is one of the best when it comes to spotting arbitrage opportunities, mispriced opportunities. He can spot them just like that and show you how to get the odds in your favor. But rather than me talking about it, Larry, why don't you show us how this works?
Okay, let me give you an example. The U.S. hockey team was invited to the State of the Union that Donald Trump was hosting. Someone put up a contract on Kalshi and said, would Trump say the word hockey? The market priced it at 90 cents.
Right. Meaning a 90% chance that he would say the word hockey.
Well, I looked at that and I thought the U.S. hockey team is standing in the room. He's honoring them. He's going to talk about hockey for 20 minutes. The contract should have been priced at 98 cents minimally. I bought it at 90 cents and he said it in the first 30 seconds.
So Larry, I mean, you can just look at a situation like that and spot what you are calling a mispriced opportunity.
And Chris, here's the thing. It's kind of like being a card counter in Vegas. The casino calls them advantage players. They do everything they can to shut them down and kick them out because an advantage player doesn't gamble. They identify situations where the odds are in their favor and trade accordingly and win big.
Right. And you're saying that being able to spot when the odds are mispriced, when they're in your favor, kind of like being an advantage player out at a Vegas casino, a card counter in these predictions markets you're talking about.
And Chris, while everyone else is guessing, we're playing the numbers and trading when the odds are on our side.
That's exactly right, Chris. The edge that can come from spotting mispriced opportunities is absolutely massive. I mean, Jim Simons did the same thing with Renaissance Technologies Medallion Fund with its average annual return of 66%.
Right. So Larry, how often do these types of opportunities actually come up in predictions markets?
Well, Chris, they come up every day. For example, on April 21st this year, Trump was scheduled on CNBC's Squawk Box. He'd been talking about the Middle East constantly. The Strait of Hormuz is closed, the top story in every financial paper that morning. Mm-hmm. There was a trade on Kalshi. The simple question, will Trump say the word Hormuz during this appearance?
Which would seem like a no-brainer.
Well, in hindsight, yes. But at the time, the market was mispricing this trade at 56 cents.
That's incredible.
Meaning what?
Meaning the crowd thought there was only a 56% chance Trump would say Hormuz on the show about the Middle East while the Strait of Hormuz was actually closed. While it's the only thing everyone in the market was talking about.
Right, so obviously it seems very low.
Well, Chris, it was priced totally wrong. I thought the real probability would have been around 85 or 90%. It was like someone was selling me $1 for 56 cents. My team pulled every Trump press conference and interview going back 60 days. The word Hormuz was coming up constantly.
Right. So that gap, that is the trade.
And as the show approached, the price started to move up.
So wait a minute. Trump hadn't even said it yet?
The show hadn't even started.
So you could have actually sold at a profit before the outcome actually happened. I mean, I'm just trying to nail this down, Larry. You're not sitting there hoping President Trump says a magic word. You're just looking at the odds the crowd is giving you, and you're comparing that to what your research, your team, is telling you the real odds are. So when there's a big enough gap, like 56% versus 85 or 90%, that's when you step in and make the trade.
Well, Chris, that's one approach to it.
Right. You know, I have to tell you something I like about this. It's not about swinging for the fences on a long shot, right? I mean, you are basically saying here, if you can spot where the odds are off just a little bit, you can keep picking up these small, almost I don't know, boring wins, but everybody else out there is still guessing. And that makes it actually feel a lot more straight up than half the stuff I see in the stock market right now anyway.
Exactly, Chris. It's not about getting rich off this stuff on one crazy trade. It's about finding these mispriced opportunities to take the right side of the odds and systematically letting the math do the heavy lifting over time.
Now, I'd like to make sure that everyone sitting at home fully understands what Larry just said, because in all my decades of investing, I have never heard of anything like this. You don't have to be right about what happens. You just have to be right about the price being wrong. I mean, in options, in stocks, in every other instrument that I know, you basically need the outcome to go your way. You can make the right call and still lose some because the timing was off, or the volatility crushed your trade, or the stock was right, but the market was wrong. Here, if you've correctly identified the mispricing and the market starts moving towards fair value, you get paid.
So Larry, let me come back to you and speak for them at home right now, because everything you're saying makes sense to me, but you got a team pulling every Trump interview for 60 days. You've got models, you're looking at probabilities and tracking prices, you're doing all the tough arithmetic. If I'm a regular guy out there and I got a day job, do I have to sit there and comb through every Kalshi contract and every headline trying to spot these gaps?
No, in fact, that's the whole point, Chris. That's what we do. My team is constantly scanning these markets, comparing what the crowd thinks to what the odds are and to what our research says the real odds should be. When the gap is big enough, when we see a true mispriced opportunity, that's when we step in and make the trade. And we boil it down to a simple, repeatable process.
So now, well, that's good to hear, but now what does that actually look like? I mean, I'm picturing you sitting in front of 10 screens all day long, or is there a checklist that you're looking at, a set of rules that you're following?
Well, Chris, all of the above. There's a process, always. Instinct is what gets you killed in the markets. A process is what's kept me alive for the last 40 years.
All right, so walk us through how this actually works then, Larry.
Sure, Jeff. Step one, we scan for scheduled events. Fed meetings, CPI releases, earnings dates, political deadlines, major broadcasts. Events where there will be a trade and where the crowd tends to misprice things because they're reacting emotionally rather than thinking about the probabilities.
Right. So you're not waking up and saying to yourself, what looks interesting today? You already know where the action's going to be. You've got the calendar. You know days or weeks in advance.
Chris, that's right. We look at the price. The price is the crowd's collective read on the probability, and we compare it to our read. My team and I crunch the numbers, perform analysis. We're building a probability estimate independent of what the market is saying. When our numbers and the market numbers are close, we pass on that trade.
You just skip it? No, I got a hunch. Let's take a shot at this anyway.
If the gap isn't wide enough, there's no edge. We do not force trades.
I totally agree. I mean, that discipline is Larry's true edge. Sometimes the smartest trade is no trade at all.
Okay, but a system lives or dies on the numbers. So can we talk about the results here? And by that, I mean not just the results of 2 weeks worth of real money trades. As impressive as they are, what I want to understand is the edge you're seeing. Is it real, or did we just maybe catch a hot streak here?
Fair question. I'm glad you're asking it, because we didn't just beta trade for 2 weeks and call that proof. My team analyzed tens of thousands of resolved prediction market trades, contracts that have already closed, already paid out, or busted. We filtered for trades that match specific criteria I look for, and we found 21,585 contracts that matched.
21,585 separate chances to either get it right or screw it up. Now that is a back test. So just so you're aware, these results are based on simulated or hypothetical performance results that have certain inherent limitations. Unlike the results shown in an actual performance record, these results do not represent actual trading. Also, because these trades have not actually been executed, The results may have under or overcompensated for the impact, if any, of certain market factors like liquidity. Simulated or hypothetical trading programs in general are also subject to the fact that they're designed with the benefit of hindsight. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those being shown. Now, Larry, what was the win rate on those 21,500 plus trades?
82.5%.
Wow, so better than 8 out of 10. Wow.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Chris. Anyone can do a back test and cherry pick results. You see it all the time. That someone claiming to have a proven system based on a handpicked 32 stocks that happen to fit some chart pattern. That's not robust. And that's not what Larry has done here. Larry has proven his concept on tens of thousands of trades that you could have made following Larry's system.
Right. So this is proof that the market keeps mispricing these opportunities over and over and over.
Chris, over and over.
I mean, you know, what I think would be really valuable for people at home is if you can walk us through a prediction market now and show us how it works live on camera.
Sure, let's do it. This is Kalshi. We just go to the markets page so you can see there are just hundreds of thousands of possible trades you can make. Every single day you can trade on things happening a few months from now, a few weeks from now, and 15 minutes from now.
Okay, so I have to say this is a lot.
For someone who's never seen this before, it kind of looks like the cockpit of a 747, but it's actually really straightforward. You can see what's trending, filter by topic, click to view your personal portfolio. You see what's trending. Jeff, you know tech better than anyone I've ever met. Let's have a little fun. I'm going to pull up the tech and science markets on Kalshi. We'll look at a couple of contracts. Give us a yes or no, and then we'll look at what the market actually has them priced at.
All right, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
First one, let me pull out my phone and pick a Kalshi contract. The question is, who will be the best AI at the end of 2026? Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok are the choices. Claude is 60%, Gemini 17%, ChatGPT 16%, and Grok 5%. What do you think about that?
Larry, this is such an interesting example because it actually proves a point that you made earlier. You don't even have to be right about the end outcome. So, for example, Grok is only at 5%. So Grok is the generative AI that's been developed by Elon Musk and his team at xAI. The Kalshi markets are saying it's only 5%. Now, from my research, I know that xAI has consistently leapfrogged all of the best models over the course of the last 18 months. So it's been on top on several occasions on the top leaderboards. 5% is absolutely wrong. And I believe that around the time that SpaceX goes public, and SpaceX acquired xAI, as we know, they're going to release what is their 9th generation artificial intelligence model. My research says that is artificial general intelligence. They already have it working in the laboratories. They're going to release it in June. And this is going to take the market by surprise. And the moment that that happens, Larry, assuming that I'm right, that percentage, as you know, will jump from 5% probably to 66%, to 70%, to 75%, because the market will realize that Grok is the number one performing model.
And that's where we take the trade. So we can get in on the trade at 5%, which is very, very low odds. And then we have the ability at any point before the end of the year, 2026. So that gives us at least a little over 6 months to the date. And we could trade out of it once the announcement comes, like you're expecting, and we can close the contract. So that's the beauty of this. You don't have to be 100% right. And Gronk doesn't have to be number one at the end of the year. It just has to perform and get a leg up on everyone else. And then we'll have the ability to make 6x on our money and close out the contract. That's the beauty of these markets, and you know your risk, and it's a really great trade.
That's a great trade. I love the example. I'm ready for the next one. I'm excited.
I'm
what
giving
else do you have?
Here we go. Will NASA land on the moon? So let me go to it.
Larry, these are too easy for me.
We'll pull it up. And will NASA land on the moon before 2027? And the odds of that are only 2%. Before 2028 is 8%. Before 2029 is 38%. And before 2030 is 64%. And I'm asking you, what year do you think that is going to happen?
So what a great example. And, the thing that you're so great at, Larry, is really that probabilistic analysis. So when I look at contracts like this and probabilities like this, I really like the before 2029 contract. It's low. What was it? 38%. 38%, right? I would put the probability of NASA, with the help of SpaceX, to be very clear, landing before 2029 at almost 100%. I just came back from Starbase, from SpaceX. I was there, for the 12th Starship test launch. They're already on the 12th launch. It was absolutely flawless. SpaceX has the technology. SpaceX is literally NASA's #1 technology partner. SpaceX has the ability, even within the next 12 months, to put a Starship landing on the moon. And there is already a NASA plan in place to do so by the end of 2028. And I think this will actually be kind of a capstone project for the current Trump administration and the current NASA administrator to make this happen, especially as a follow-on to the Artemis II mission that, just as we remember, it was a 10-day mission that went around the dark side of the moon, safely returned back to Earth. So all of the technology exists, the funding exists. I am absolutely certain Starship will in fact complete its gigafactory, its gigabay, which has the ability to manufacture 1,000 Starships a year at Starbase, Texas by the end of this year. And it's going to quickly turn its Starship launches into commercial launches that are happening, every single week within the next 12 months. So again, I love those percentages, 38%, before 2029, the contract for before 2030 at 64%? Yeah. I think that's absolutely mispriced as well. I would put that again at almost 100% probability that NASA will land on the moon before then.
And I want people to understand the beauty of doing this type of research and this type of work is that you're not stuck. So we have time. So we put this contract on now. We obviously have 2.5 to 3.5 years, okay? But at any point during that time, these are liquid contracts. They are making markets on this like it's a stock every single day. So you will be able to, if there happens to be good news, like you say, and SpaceX is doing whatever, these contracts will go up. So it is a really, really good play. And, I'm in your camp. I do think it's going to happen. And I think we have the technology.
Yeah,
so,
great examples.
Yeah.
All right, you have one more?
Yeah, I do. Which country will be the next country to send a human to the moon?
That's easy, Larry. It is absolutely going to be the United States. It would be almost impossible to discount that. Again, it goes back to the earlier contract about doing it before 2029 or before 2030. China's current plans aren't to actually put astronauts on the moon until 2032. So that contract's basically asking the question, will NASA do it before 2032? Well, and for me, that's 100% probability.
Well, let me give you the odds to give you something to really think about. The United States is only priced at 52%. Okay.
Ridiculous.
Second is China at 34%. And then third is Russia at just 2%. So really, it's a race, I guess, between China and the United States. And as you say, probably the United States is holding all the cards right now. So those odds, to me, look low. And again, is very, very tradable for our subscriber base to have the ability to make money. So I'll throw it back to you for your thoughts on that.
Well, I'll make one simple point about this. SpaceX, which obviously represents, the U.S. It's NASA's number one aerospace technology partner. SpaceX is responsible for more than 98% of all mass launched into orbit today. SpaceX launches more rockets into space than every country and every other company combined by a very wide margin. There is nobody that comes close to the capabilities of SpaceX and its rockets and its launch capabilities. That is such an easy prediction to make. I feel like it's almost too easy.
Yeah, it looks like it's kind of priced wrong, but listen, the market is the market, and that's the beauty of this. And when we do our research, we can find anomalies like this to take advantage of. So, I'm happy that we're bringing it, and I'm excited for the subscribers to have the opportunity to utilize our research. We've just given you 3 examples. See, Chris, Jeff knows this space as well as anyone. His read in some cases is different from the market's reads. That's a signal the market is underpricing the probability.
Yeah, which means a lot of opportunities there, as you just identified. This is actually kind of fun. I was actually thinking about going back to the moon landing thing. I'm wondering if Kalshi's going to have a contract on the next person to step on the moon. If it's going to be a male or female. That could be a contract at some point.
They're definitely going to write that contract.
Yeah,
sure.
They probably
there's
will.
thousands of them available.
Let me ask you this, Larry, some questions here, because everything that we've seen so far here, this is very impressive. I got this voice, though, in the back of my head, and it's saying to me that if this edge is real, why isn't Wall Street already all over this?
Well, they are. They're starting to really get involved, but it's early stages. It goes back to what we talked about at the beginning when stocks started to trade after hours. The markets are inefficient. They're not pricing correctly. There's not as many players, so there's a lot of holes in the market, and we're able to exploit that and do very well.
Right. So they can't do what we can do.
But here's the thing, they can't do what you can do. Their position sizing requirements make these contracts functionally untradeable at their scale. They're not in your trade. They can't be.
Right, so they're just watching.
They're just watching for now. They're reading the data. They're making markets on the edges, but they are not your competition in these contracts we're talking about. The markets are too small for them to matter to them.
So Chris, what Larry is describing for the first time is a market where being small is not a disadvantage.
Right.
Jeff, you're right. You can take a position. Goldman Sachs literally cannot. The market can't absorb their size. And by the time these markets are big enough for institutional capital to move through freely, the wide open mispricings we're seeing right now will likely have narrowed.
All right, which means the clock is ticking on this. We have a narrow or a limited time window here. So let me ask you this question too. With hundreds of potential trades that are live on the site right now, where do you start?
Well, Chris, I'll start with this. In the stock market, in options, every morning I'm scanning. I'm looking for something worth trading. Some mornings come up with nothing. In the prediction market, you can plan in advance. Fed meetings already on the calendar. Jobs reports, CPI releases, major earnings calls, geopolitical deadlines, political rulings. Every single one of these events is going to produce pricing in the prediction markets.
Right. So you're never sitting around just waiting for something to happen then?
Well, I know exactly what's coming.
And what's really got me excited about this in technology investing, I'm always researching new companies, new catalysts, new technologies, the next reason to be early. the calendar-driven nature of prediction markets it's a completely different experience. The Fed isn't going to schedule an unannounced meeting. The CPI number doesn't drop randomly. I mean, these are dates that we can know months in advance. You can plan, you can prepare for it, and do your research and analysis and your trades in a really systematic way.
Right. So the way that I'm understanding this right now, in order to find these mispriced opportunities, the crowd has got to underprice the likelihood of an event. Now, how often does that actually happen?
Well, Chris, far more often than people think.
Right. But how can it be possible that people get it wrong every time?
Well, there's a little quirk of human psychology called the long shot bias.
The long shot bias. Never heard of that one before.
Well, it's pretty simple, Chris. People love a long shot. What's not to love? A small trade, a big payout, a dramatic outcome.
Yeah, like a lottery ticket?
And even though your odds of winning are like 300 million to 1 playing lotto, when you hold that ticket in your hand, winning feels more possible than it actually is. That's how it is in the prediction markets.
So what you have here, Chris, is people piling into the exciting, low probability, high upside of a trade. And at the same time, ignoring the boring, high probability events like some of the examples that we went through earlier.
Right. So I'm going to try to put that into plain English here. You're saying that people would rather trade on a 50 to 1 or 100-1 shot than shoot for 30% in a day?
Precisely, Chris. They ignore the side that actually most likely wins. And that lets us swoop in, quietly taking the boring high probability side and scooping the chips off the table.
It's worth mentioning that this isn't just a theory, Chris. I mean, Kalshi and Polymarket, which is another big prediction market outside the US, have both published data validating Larry's thesis. Low price long shot contracts consistently win less than their implied probability. High probability contracts consistently outperform.
And that's all I'm doing, looking for the likely outcome.
Let me slow down. I want to make sure that I'm up to speed on all this, because I know what a lot of people out there watching right now are probably thinking. Every time somebody shows me something that looks this good, there always is a catch. So just flat out, what is the catch here?
Sure, Chris. Let me explain why this is structurally different from anything you've traded before. Every event contract trades between $0 and $1. If you buy a contract for 40 cents, the most you could ever lose on that contract is 40 cents per contract. You never risk a penny more than you're willing to lose. In the stock market, the average long-term investor waits months or even years to realize a gain. Right. Even active traders holding positions for days on Kalshi contracts resolve in hours, days, or at most weeks. NFL Sunday clears the same night. The annualized return on a correctly priced short duration contract is enormous. Buying a 90-cent yes that resolves in 24 hours is equivalent to a 36,500% annualized yield if you were right.
Yeah, I did not think of it that way, but that's a good point. It's a lot better than buy and hold.
And understand this, Chris. When you trade a stock, even if your fundamental thesis is 100% correct, you can still lose money because of many reasons. A hedge fund liquidating for unrelated reasons, a Fed rate decision changing the sector sentiment. With an event contract, there's only one variable. Will the Fed raise interest rates? Did the jobs number beat the 200,000 that we're looking for? If you're right about the event, you profit, period. And the fun thing is, there's something for everyone. You follow politics, you can trade election contracts. You're a nurse or a farmer researcher, you can trade FDA approval markets. You can trade the economy, you can trade CPI, Fed funds, rate markets. Your knowledge about anything is instantly bankable.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, this is kind of fun. It's been eye-opening for me. It's very exciting. The idea that I can make money off of, I don't know, following the campaign trail. But What happens now? What happens when things get ugly?
Well, nothing, Chris.
Nothing.
Your contract doesn't know what the S&P did that morning. It doesn't care. If you're holding a contract on whether the Fed cuts rates in June and the market sells off 10%, the contract doesn't move 1 cent because of that sell-off. The event can still happen. And if you're right, you still get paid.
So if the whole market falls apart around me,
Well, you're not in the market. You're in one trade where the outcome happens on a specific event. You decide exactly how much to risk. The contract tells you exactly what you'll make, and you can never lose a penny more than you're willing to risk. 40 years, I've traded stocks, options, futures, every instrument you can name, and I've never found a market where the structural advantages are this clear. Defined risk, binary outcome, known resolution date, a crowd that consistently misprices these markets, and a calendar of events that tell me exactly where to look next.
Right, this, Chris, this is what a real edge looks like.
yeah. Well, walk me through something here. Let's go back with Hormuz, right? You said the price moved before Trump even said a word at that press conference or whatever it was, before the show started. How's that? How did that work?
Well, Chris, as the event gets closer, the probability's correct. Slowly, then all at once, the price gets dragged towards where it should be.
Right, but how do you know that's going to happen?
Well, Chris, it all comes down to something called the law of large numbers. Flip a coin once and you have no idea what you'll get. Flip it 10 times, maybe you'll get 7 heads and 3 tails. Looks random, right? But if you flip it 1,000 times,
Yeah, it's going to be like 50-50.
you can't predict a single toss, but you can predict what happens over thousands of tosses more closely. That's why I only recommend contracts that expire within 7 days.
Oh, that's interesting. 7 days. Now, why is that?
Because as the window on the trade closes, as the event draws near, most people crowd into the trade. Interest spikes, it starts trending. Most people trade, and the law of large numbers creates pressure on prices that move it towards the highest probability result. Are there sometimes surprises? Sure, but the research shows the probable outcomes pay off a lot more than long shots.
Okay, so 7 days or less, that's the window. Now, is it really that reliable?
Remember, my team ran the numbers. We start with tens of thousands of resolved prediction market contracts. 21,500 met the initial criteria, and the win rate was 82.5%.
Yeah, it's very impressive. And again, these results, everyone, are based on simulated or hypothetical performance results that have certain inherent limitations. Unlike the results shown in an actual performance record, these results do not represent actual trading. Also, because these trades have not actually been executed, these results may have under or overcompensated for the impact, if any, of certain market factors such as lack of liquidity. Simulated or hypothetical trading programs in general are also subject to the fact that they are designed with the benefit of hindsight. So no representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those being shown.
But here's the thing, Chris. I had my team run the numbers and asked what would happen if you took every trade Larry's filter identified over the course of 12 months and put $500 into each one. But the net profit would be approximately $82,830 in a single year. And that's the important part, not because you hit one enormous trade, not because of leverage or some kind of complex trading strategies, but because you systematically applied Larry's edge over and over.
Right, almost 82% of the time. It's remarkable.
It is actually math.
All right, so let me ask you this question on behalf of everybody out there watching right now, because you've shown us some incredible numbers here, but I still got that voice in the back of my head, and I'm sure they do too. There's a part of me that wants to say, isn't this just luck?
Could it be luck? Sure, I've had my share of luck, good and bad. But I don't think it's luck, because when the crowd misprices one of these trades, when they overpay for the exciting outcome and underprice the likely one, and as the event gets closer, the gap between where the crowd has priced it and where the price should actually be closes.
And here's what I need everyone watching to understand. Larry's not predicting exactly what's going to happen. He's just spotting mispriced opportunity, and the market takes care of the rest.
Right. Yeah, something just clicked for me. I've never been a big sports betting guy because I don't like to sit there sweating over whether some football team is going to cover the spread. But this is different. Being able to trade on things that I am interested in, things I'm already paying attention to, like inflation and Fed meetings and elections, job numbers, not having to be 100% right about the outcome, just that the odds are off. That's what I've got to be right about. That's something I can actually see myself doing. I mean, that's getting paid for opinions and knowledge that I have some experience with.
Exactly.
That is exciting to me. So let me ask some practical questions here. First of all, what if someone watching right now has never placed a trade in their life, right? I mean, they know absolutely nothing about prediction markets. You feel confident they can do this?
Well, Chris, here's what a trade looks like from where they're sitting. You open your platform, you see the event. Will the Fed hold rates steady in June? You see the price, you see the resolution date, you see the payout. You just click yes or no. You type how much you want to put in and you're done. If you can click a button and follow simple instructions, you can do this.
I've always liked the idea of copying somebody else's homework from the smartest kid in the class.
Well, that's kind of exactly what this is. I mean, Larry and his team, they do the homework for you, Chris. And of course, I can help as well.
That's exactly right. Now, all right, so what happens if somebody has a small account? Maybe they've only got, $500 or $1,000 to work with here. Does it work at those levels?
It sure does. You can enter a contract on Kalshi for as little as $1. Oh, wow. And here's what's different from most everything else out there. The most you can ever lose on a single contract is exactly what you put in. Again, not a penny more. If you invest $50, the most you can lose on the contract is $50.
Do you have to be fast to get in on these trades?
You have to be a little bit fast, but you set limit orders on the site, so you never pay more than you want to. And if you miss one, it's not a huge deal. There's always the next one. We have a whole calendar full of events. If you miss one setup, the next one is coming right behind it.
Well, in a broader sense, how long do you think this is going to last?
Well, Chris, that's a question that I keep asking myself. And the good news is I've seen this pattern before. So not in prediction markets, of course, but in every early market that I've ever studied. So when I recommended Bitcoin in 2015, I don't know if you remember this, but back then, the crowd thought it was money for criminals. And as a result, the pricing was completely emotional. It wasn't rational. And there was no formula for valuing Bitcoin at the time. When I recommended NVIDIA in 2016, analysts were pricing it as a graphics card company, which is a point that I made. Nobody had modeled what AI compute demand would do to the value of NVIDIA at the time. So the pattern is always the same. When you get in early, like Larry is helping us do tonight, you have a long runway and can make money for years. I mean, a decade has passed since that time. Now, we wouldn't be here if we didn't think this was going to be a potentially huge opportunity for you and everyone watching.
Absolutely. Maybe you're like me out there and you came in here tonight not really knowing what a prediction market was, and maybe you'd heard the term, maybe you thought it was gambling or something. Maybe you had no idea the opportunity was this big, but you've now had a chance to see the trades. You've seen how this works. So this could be one of the most profitable things you could do to grow your wealth in today's marketplace. Well, in just a few moments now, Larry is going to show you how you can put your name down on his trading list. Jeff, what would you say to somebody out there who is ready to get started on this?
Well, that's easy. I mean, you've seen the numbers. They're great numbers, and any hedge fund would kill for those numbers. So should you pay Larry to teach you his system? Maybe not. But listen, This type of trading is not right for everyone. It is fast. We said get in before 7 days before a contract hits its date. So it's more aggressive. It is definitely opportunistic. And in order to participate at the minimum, you probably want to use at least, let's say, $100 per trade. And it's important to remember that the outcomes on prediction markets are based on real events, which means that even a small surprise in the markets can have a significant impact on your account balance. The way these trades can soar, even small investors with modest portfolios can see large returns. However, it is important to use risk management and position sizing to protect your account. Now, I have to say, I have been very impressed with everything Larry is doing. I've been in investment research for more than a decade, and I've seen hundreds of trading systems. Now, Chris, you know me well. It's very rare that I get this excited about one.
That's true.
And that's why I'm here today. I worked out a deal to have Larry open up his beta test to my readers. So for the first time ever, you'll have the opportunity to add your name to Larry's private trade distribution list right next to mine. And if you want to be among the first to get your hands on Larry's next recommendation, let me explain what to do. And it couldn't be simpler for you to get started. Okay, Larry?
Starting today, to give you access to all my trades going forward, we're launching a brand new research service called Prediction Profits.
Right, and that's the good news. Now, here's maybe a little bit of bad news. Prediction Profits is now one of the most expensive services that Larry offers. One full year is priced at $5,000. Now, that may sound like a lot of money, but let me also be very clear with you. He should be charging a lot more. You've seen the numbers here. I believe Larry's publisher could easily charge $10,000, $15,000 or more for Larry's research and get it. Now, the other good news is because you're here, because you're watching us right now, you actually are invited to take part in an incredible limited time founding member invitation that will see you get in at a fraction of that price. And we know from everything that we've seen tonight, Prediction Profits may be the most exciting and potentially profitable new trading strategy that you can add to your money-making toolbox this year. So when you become a founding member, here is everything you're going to get. First of all, a full year of Larry's real-time prediction market trade alerts. So every time Larry identifies a mispriced opportunity, you get the alert. And 30 seconds later, you can be in the trade. Second, you'll get Larry's weekly cash out calendar. This is Larry's master schedule that he was talking about earlier. Every Fed meeting, every jobs report, every CPI release, every major earnings window, every geopolitical deadline, dated events mapped across the next 12 months with Larry's notes on which events that he's watching for mispriced trades specifically. Your third exclusive bonus is the Prediction Market Playbook. So this is Larry's complete guide to how prediction markets work. The platform, the contract types, the mechanics, how to read an alert and place a trade in under 60 seconds. Everything you need, even if, like me, you've never set foot on a prediction market platform before. And then fourth, Larry's trading rules. This single page that condenses 40 years of proprietary knowledge and discipline, trading securities into exactly what Larry looks for before he places a trade in prediction markets. That'll serve as your cheat sheet every time you make your own trades. And finally, you're going to get Larry's team's quick start video walkthrough guides to prediction markets. And that will walk you through the platform on screen. It will show you how to open an account. It'll show you how to fund it, how to find a contract, how to place your first trade. It literally takes less than 2 minutes. By the time your first alert arrives, you'll already know exactly what to do with it. Now, you're probably wondering, what does, in fact, all of this cost? Well, a hedge fund manager of Larry's caliber, again, top 1% in Barron's, 20 consecutive years without a losing year. If you could access someone like that at all, you typically need a minimum investment of $1 million and usually a lot more than that. And I'll mention this, most of those funds are completely closed. You couldn't get in no matter how badly you wanted to. So the retail price for Prediction Profits, $5,000 a year, is frankly, I think, a bargain given what we've seen tonight. That's probably too cheap. But because, again, this is the very first time that Larry has ever opened this to the public, and because he needs founding members to help build this community from the ground up, Larry and his publisher agreed to something I honestly didn't think they would go for. As a founding charter member, you won't pay $5,000. First, you're going to get a 50% discount, which brings the price to just $2,500, saving you $2,500 right up front. Now, in addition to that, when you join before the deadline, you'll receive an additional charter member discount of $500, bringing your price to just $1,997, more than 60% off retail, $5.47 a day. Click the button on your screen right now and you'll get all the details and be able to become a founding member of Prediction Profits right now. And I think you'll be very happy when you do. However, you should know, because of the nature of these markets and these trades, membership is strictly limited. Larry, I'm going to let you explain that to everyone real quick.
Memberships to this service are limited to 2,000 this year, since too many traders could potentially move the market in some of these situations. New members will be accepted on a first-come, first-served basis. So I encourage you to click the button on your screen and join me while space is still available. And you will be on the list to receive my first trade alert and all the ones that follow it and all the potential profits to come with it.
Right. So chances are, after this moment, you may be unlikely to ever see the invitation offered again. So to avoid that kind of disappointment, you should reserve your membership right now by clicking the button that you see on the screen and then filling in the details on the very next page. Larry, let me ask you, when do you think you'll be able to lift the cap on the service?
Between Jeff and I, we have over 100,000 members. I cannot open this research service up to that many people. We need to test the waters. We need to make sure everyone has the opportunity to get in, get out, and get paid. That said, the prediction markets are growing fast and the liquidity is increasing. Many of the markets with the most compelling mispriced opportunities are on the smaller side. And for that reason, I will likely only ever be able to allow a limited number of people to join us in this product.
All right, that's important to know. You heard what he just said. Again, you do not want to miss out on this. So to ensure your spot and get in before all those spots are filled, I suggest you click on that button that you see on the screen and click on it right now. Let me offer just a brief recap. When you join before the deadline, you're going to receive a total charter membership discount of $3,003, which brings your investment today to just $1,997. 1 full year of prediction profits, every alert, the complete onboarding package, everything you need. And that works out to just $5.47 a day. Not even coffee money. So click the button you see on the screen right now. Claim your limited founding member spot while it's still available, because once they're gone, they are gone. Now, I tell you what, we still have a little bit of time left. Larry and Jeff, are you okay if I open up this for some quick Q&A?
Sure.
With you all?
That's a great idea.
Let me get Jesse here on set. Jeff, if you don't mind passing this around to me. Thank you very much, sir. I have a suspicion that we're going to have a lot of a flood of questions have come in during our presentation, and some it looks like some really sharp ones here too. So if you guys are ready, we'll jump into this.
I'm not surprised. Let's do it.
Okay.
Fire away.
All right, here we go. All right, so first question here. This seems like betting to me. Isn't that just a fancier name for gambling? Which one of you would like to answer that?
I would say that it is nothing like betting at all. Betting reminds me of going to the casino. And if you go to a casino, the casino is made of gold. And there's a reason why. The odds are in their favor. So to me, this is not a gamble. It is not a bet. We use process analysis and a lot of work to come up where the odds are in our favor. So I don't look at this as betting or gambling at all.
Yeah, I would say to continue with Larry's analogy, you know, in betting or gambling, over any period of time, the house always has the odds. The house always wins. That's the old saying, and it's actually true. You know, what Larry is doing, what I do is built on process and research and analysis. We use our combined, 80 plus years of experience investing, on trading, and in my case, as a corporate executive in the tech world, to see these mispricing. I mean, Larry's an expert in arbitrage and identifying mispricing opportunities on assets. That's precisely what this is. This is why the prediction markets are such an exciting opportunity to make high probability trades and profits. So it's completely different than betting and gambling. That's why Larry and I are so excited about this entirely new market to trade.
Right. So just to flesh that out a little bit, when Larry sends out an alert and he says the crowd thinks this is a 56% probability when it should be 85%.
It's just mispricing, and our research and work and our years of experience give us the edge. So it's the farthest thing from betting and gambling.
Okay. All right. I think we covered that. But I want to ask another question of my own here. Why is it that you're both so excited, in your own words, about this opportunity? How would you answer that?
Well, I think it's the infancy of the market, the fact that the market is inefficient, it's not pricing correctly, there's not as many real players, and we talked a little bit about it. It's really peer-to-peer.
Right.
So you're playing against other people and you're putting trades on, and the edge is there because the markets are really, really inefficient. That's what's making me really excited right now.
And I would add to that and say, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, that this was an early market opportunity. We use the examples of, when I identified Bitcoin early on in 2015, or NVIDIA as an AI play in early 2016, or Tesla as an artificial intelligence company, in early 2018. These are the very early days of prediction markets. And, that's where the biggest opportunities are to make the largest returns. And in this case, what makes prediction markets so interesting is that, this is the crowd, basically making these trades or these predictions. That's why they're called prediction markets, on outcomes. But guess what? The majority of the crowd aren't experts. They're not subject matter experts. And this is where Larry's decades of experience and my decades of experience come into play. We can see these mispricings very easily based on our decades of experience, and we can turn those into highly probable, profitable trades. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like the prediction markets. It's one thing to see incredible opportunities in single technology companies or single growth assets. This, when Larry and I look at the prediction markets, we see opportunities and mispricings everywhere. I mean, there's hundreds of trades that we've looked at that immediately we see these mispricings and these profitable trade opportunities.
And then one other thing that I want to really stress here is these markets are growing exponentially. So we're seeing more dollars put into it, more different prediction outcomes every day, every week. And it's amazing to see it because we kind of saw this in the market transform over years and years and years. And I think this is going to go on for a very long time. It's the hottest market out there for sure.
And I would like to just add one final point.
Sure.
We have years before the prediction markets become mature. That's another, years of edge and advantage that we're going to have in the prediction markets before they become extremely efficient. Is it 5 years, 8 years, 10 years? I don't know exactly.
Right.
But we have years of opportunity ahead of us.
Right.
I'm agreeing with that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. And Larry, I think the next logical question everybody has is a simple one. You've sold us on the opportunity. You've shown us the numbers. Walk us through what this actually looks like on a Tuesday morning when someone is a member. What actually happens? What's a day in the life of actually look like?
Sure, Chris. When I identify a prediction trade, I send you a trade alert direct to your email and your phone. The alert tells you everything: the contract, the platform, yes or no, the entry range, why I believe the price is wrong, and the maximum risk that you will have. You read it, you decide. If you want to follow, you click and you're in.
And a follow-up, how often will you be sending those alerts?
Well, that depends entirely on the market. I can't tell you it's going to be every Tuesday at 9 a.m. It doesn't work that way. Some weeks I might see 5 setups that pass all 4 rules. Other weeks, nothing qualifies. A lot of times they come in clusters. A major economic report drops, a geopolitical deadline hits, and suddenly you've got 6 or 7 contracts that you are clearly seeing that are mispriced.
Now, this is something that Larry and I talk about a lot. The market doesn't conform to a publishing schedule. And frankly, that's the way that you want it. You don't want Larry sending you a trade just because it's Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. and he hasn't sent one yet. You want the best of the best. So these setups where all 4 rules line up and the math is screaming that this is a great trading opportunity.
Exactly, Jeff. I'd rather send you nothing for 2 weeks than send you something I don't believe in. That's how I ran my hedge fund for 20 years. That's how I'm going to run this.
Right. And there you have it, folks. I just want to remind you, getting access to this level of insight and guidance, this isn't something most people ever get. I mean, if you're thinking this sounds interesting, you want to make sure that you get access before your founding member discount expires. The offer is off the table soon. You want to do it before all the available memberships are claimed. Remember, there is a limit to those. So click the button on your screen right now, review the details on the next page. Larry and Jeff have agreed to open this up to a limited number of founding members on a first come, first served basis. Right now, as a charter member, you can get into Prediction Profits for $1,997. It's more than 60% off the $5,000 retail price. $5.47 a day for a full year of real-time alerts from Larry Benedict, a man who ran a billion-dollar hedge fund trading securities and went 20 consecutive years without a losing year. If you're ready, you know what to do. There's a button on the screen. You press that now, get the details. Gentlemen, we are almost out of time. I'm going to ask, let's go to the next question. Depending on how fast we answer it, we may have time for another one. Larry, a lot of people watching have never heard, it appears to me, of Kalshi. Never traded a prediction market contract in their life. An hour ago, I was one of them too. I'm in the same boat. So the platform, is this something that a complete beginner could navigate easily?
Absolutely, Chris. I built the onboarding around exactly that concern. The first thing every new member gets is the prediction market playbook. It walks you through everything, how contracts are structured, how yes and no positions work, how resolution happens, how to read the odds. I built it so someone who has never set foot on Kalshi can be completely ready to follow their first alert within 15 minutes of sitting down.
And I want to add something here because this is important. The types of trades that Larry recommends can be completed by anyone. Once you get familiar with the interface, they are as simple as buying and selling a stock through a normal equities brokerage account. You see the contract, you see the price, and you see the maximum that you can lose before you click, and you decide. I mean, that's the whole thing. It really is that simple.
All right, we're going to keep moving here. We got a pointed question on this one. You both recommended a lot of different strategies to your readers over the years, some of which have been life-changing. We got somebody here who wants to know, where does this particular opportunity rank?
I'd like to answer that first. In a very simple way, again, going back to that example, I love early opportunities, being early. That's how we stack the deck in the favor of our members, the people that read our research. What makes this so different is that this is an entirely new market for trading. Again, it's not just about one company or 2 companies that are interesting, exciting, and early. The entire market is early. And so there are so many more opportunities available for high probability, profitable trades than I've ever seen before in my entire career. I started investing when I was 16. It's been 40 years. I've never seen anything like this. The scale of this opportunity is greater than any opportunity that I've ever seen in my career.
No wonder you're excited.
And I'm really excited. And I showed this to Jeff, and we sat down, and he loved the idea. And I see massive edge. I see it lasting for a long time. I see the dollars that are trickling into this market to be unbelievable. If you look at some of the prediction markets and how much money is put down on different propositions, it is unbelievable. And it's only growing. And I've seen an opportunity like this only a few times in my career. One we talked about the mispricing of stocks. That was pretty unbelievable. And we thought that would only last for a few months, and it lasted years, and there was money to be made. And I think this opportunity is actually bigger. So I'm really, really excited about it, and I can't wait for everybody to join me.
Right. And this is a related question too, kind of open-ended. What's your confidence level in prediction profits?
I will only say, if you remember the examples that we used earlier of these contracts, all I can say, and we covered some of the technology-related ones, obviously, but all I can think of when I see these is this is such low-hanging fruit. I use the example of how the crowd are having opinions about these contracts, but they're not founded in research, analysis, real-world experience, right? A lot of people are having opinions about things that they don't deeply understand, which is why people like Larry and I have such an incredible edge, why these mispricings are so obvious. And that's, of course, why we're so excited about prediction profits and, what we can bring to our members in terms of our research and analysis.
Right. And I'll just tag on. You're being so highly selective. You're going through and eliminating 90% or more of the opportunities that are out there.
I want people to understand we've discussed the edge in the market, which we think is enormous, and Jeff's touched on it. I also want people to understand we're going to run this like I ran my hedge fund. And what we try to do is build up profits, and we're building up profits, and we're using our house money to really build this to the next level. And I believe that we could do unbelievably well for our subscribers. And I'm very, very excited for this.
Larry, can I ask you to sort of paint a picture for people watching right now? Let's say a member joins today. They follow the alerts for the next 12 months. What does a really good year look like? Can you walk us through that? Not necessarily numbers, but the experience of that. What could likely change for that person?
Well, I've never seen a market where I believe we have the ability to have so many different transactions that we're going to be involved in, that we're going to have the ability to grow wealth, compound trades, and feel very, very confident in the mispricing of these markets so that we could add wealth at an exponential level.
The next question is one that I hear a lot of. Somebody's got a job, they've got a family, they can't sit in front of a screen all day long. I understand that. How much time does this really take?
This is the right question, and the honest answer is almost none of your time. I'm doing the analysis, I'm watching the markets, I'm identifying the mispricing. When I find one that meets my criteria, I send you an alert. You look at your phone, you see the alert, you open your Kalshi account, you tap a few buttons, and you're done. That's maybe 2 minutes, and that's only on the days I send the alert. The rest of the time, you're living your life.
Doesn't get much easier.
Well, this is also why we built the cash out calendar so members can see months in advance when the big events are coming. The Federal Reserve meeting on the 18th, you know that. The CPI release next Thursday, you know that. So you can plan around it if you want to, or you can just wait for the alert to come. Either way, you're not chained to a computer.
I've been trading professionally for 40 years. I'm not advising anyone to make this their second job. That's not the point. This is about freedom and freeing you up to get on with your life.
What's not to love about that? If that sounds good to you, if that sounds like something that you would like, click that button and join Larry Benedict and become a founding member of Prediction Profits at the special founding member rate. Remember, this invitation will expire, and once the 2,000 memberships have been claimed, that's the limit, the invitation will be shut down. So to avoid missing out, click the button on your screen. Please do it right now. Larry, Jeff, what do you recommend in terms of how much someone should allocate to the strategy? Is it, I don't know, 1% of their investable funds, 10%? Is there any sort of ballpark figure that sounds right to you? I see a lot of questions about how can I start? What if I've only got $500 or $1,000?
Well, we talked a little bit about this where we're able to close out our trades. So I think the allocation of capital could be very, very minimal because we're not going to have like a portfolio of positions on at any time. We may have 1 or 2 or maybe 3 at the most, but like we discussed, they all close within 7 days and many of them are done on the day or 2 before the actual event takes place. So the allocation of capital, it's not like really a portfolio. And the way that you can build wealth here is exponential. It's much, much better actually than option trading, which is most of our strategies, which have been phenomenal. But this is at a whole nother level because the odds are so mispriced. So I would say that.
Yeah, and I would just add, I think about, we think about investors, each individual investor having an asset allocation model. And of course, we're not able to give individualized investment advice. Some general guidance might be that you might allocate, between 1% and 5% of your total investable assets into investment and trading strategies like the one that we're talking about in Prediction Profits. So the key point is start small and then compound those profits allocated to this strategy. Over time, as you become more comfortable, you can choose whether or not to, increase how much you're allocating to this type of trading strategy or not. Just continue to make, a number of small trades based on all the research that Larry will be publishing.
Right. I think you mentioned earlier, Jeff, that maybe $100 would be a nice minimum amount per trade. But the bottom line is there's no minimum that makes this not worth doing.
I mean, $100 is certainly a great place to start. Yeah.
And the math works at any size. The only question is what size makes sense for you.
Right. And if it does make sense, right now, as a charter member, your price is $1,997, more than 60% off, but that price is only available for a very limited time. After the deadline, the price is going to go up. So if you're on the fence, the math is actually pretty simple right now. Waiting is going to cost you money, and it may mean missing out completely on this opportunity. Joining tonight gets you everything, a full year of Larry Benedict's real-time alerts, the cash out calendar, the prediction market playbook, Larry's trading rules, and the quick start video walkthrough, all of it. Hit the button on your screen and go to the enrollment form on the next page. All right, Jeff, I know you mentioned before the cameras started rolling earlier that you'd put something on the line personally. Can I get you to just tell us what that is?
All right, well, here's what I've put in place. Try Prediction Profits for 90 days. Please watch Larry's process in real time, follow the alerts, use every resource, and if after 90 days you don't feel it was worth every penny, please contact Larry's team, and they will immediately apply your full payment as a credit towards any of Larry's products or any of the services in the Brownstone Research Catalog.
Right. So your services?
Yes. Current services, future services, absolutely your choice. And you get to keep everything regardless. You get to keep the calendar, the playbook, the trading rules. It's all yours to use as you see fit, no matter what you decide.
Can I press you on this? Why are you backing this with your own services? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm putting my entire research catalog behind Larry Benedict, his 20 years of work, his track record, and this incredible new service that he's created. Every service I've ever built, all of it, because I am making you a personal bet. I bet you over the next 90 days, Prediction Profits will consistently give you more winning trades than any other research service you're following right now. And if I'm wrong, you don't walk away empty-handed. You walk away with access to my very best research or Larry's very best research. It's your call. And I'll say this directly to anyone watching who already follows my work. If you've benefited from anything that I've shared with you over the many years, I want you to hear me when I say this. What Larry has found here is unlike anything that I brought to you before. This is an edge I wish I'd had access to 30 years ago, or 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago. And now you have a rare opportunity to put your name down right next to mine on Larry's trade distribution list. All you need to do is click the button.
Right. Wow, what an endorsement from one legend to another. That's. Let me ask you one more question, Jeff. Because you brought a lot of opportunities to your readers over the years, some very big ones. 5 years from now, what happens to the people who got in on prediction markets early? And what do you think is going to happen to the people who were watching tonight but didn't pull the trigger?
Well, I'll answer the second question first.
Okay.
They are going to feel an incredible amount of regret. How do I know that? Well, when I think back to the people that followed me, my recommendations on Bitcoin in 2015, they have enough money to retire today. The people that invested in NVIDIA in February of 2016 and followed my advice have enough money to retire today. The people that followed my advice and invested in Tesla and held their shares today, they have enough money to retire today. I cannot tell you how many people that have come up to me as I've traveled around the country. They've said hello in airports and told me that I have absolutely changed their lives. And they feel incredibly smart and incredibly fortunate that they acted on my research. So people that follow Larry's advice, that get involved in these prediction markets when they're early, they're going to have that same feeling. They're going to feel smart. They're going to feel excited. They're going to know that they made the right decision by getting in early and participating in the prediction markets when there are so many mispricings and opportunities everywhere. And they're going to feel obviously pretty great as they built their nest egg over the next several years, being an active participant in the prediction markets and having this edge that comes from Larry's background and expertise. And of course, as we've said, I'm going to be contributing to Larry's work, especially when it comes to growth assets and technology. So that's my answer.
And I appreciate that.
Well, there's no way I can improve on that answer. That was great. We do have time for just a few more questions. Big one. Is Kalshi actually safe? Is money protected?
That's the right thing to ask. Kalshi, to be very clear, is regulated by the CFTC. That's the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. It's the same federal regulator that oversees the future markets, the CME group, all of it. So this isn't some, international crypto exchange, running out of a server farm in the Bahamas or Malta or something like that. I mean, Kalshi is a federally regulated and it operates under US law. And probably equally important, the investors behind Kalshi are not small names. Names like Sequoia Capital and Andreessen Horowitz, these are two of the very best venture capital firms in the world. In fact, I've been following Kalshi since it was founded, so I know the company very well. I mean, the current valuation is around $22 billion. Morgan Stanley is also an investor, one of the top investment banks in the world, I should say. I mean, these are not people who would stake that capital on a platform that doesn't have its ducks in a row and its legal and regulatory house in order.
I wouldn't be putting my name or my real money on any platform that I didn't vet personally. I've looked at it from top to bottom. The structure is sound. The funds are held separately from the company's operating capital. This is how legitimate financial platforms are required to operate.
Yeah, so clearly this isn't a fly-by-night operation here.
Not even close.
Right. And you know what strikes me, sitting here with both of these legends here, Larry had $1 billion hedge fund. Jeff has built research firms with hundreds of thousands of members. These are not guys who need to do this. You have chosen to do this because you genuinely believe that this is the best opportunity that you've seen for regular investors out there in years. 1 year of real-time alerts, the full system at the charter member price of $1,997, but only if you get in before the deadline. And here is everything that you're going to get when you join Prediction Profits as a founding member. Number one, a full year of Larry Benedict's real-time trade alerts. The moment that he spots a mispriced prediction market contract, you get notified. Text and email. Contract name, entry price, the reasoning, everything that you need to act. Number two, the weekly cash out calendar. That's 12 months now of market moving events. They're scheduled out so that you can see what's coming on the horizon and plan around that. Number three, the prediction market playbook, which is the complete guide to how this whole thing works, from what prediction markets are to how to identify the long shot bias in action. And number four, Larry's trading rules. 1 page with the actual framework that Larry has used for many, many years to decide when to trade and when to sit on his hands. And 5, the quick start video walkthrough. I think we're running out of time here. I think we've covered most of the major questions. At least we've covered a lot of them here. Before we go, I just want to ask you, Larry, and you, Jeff, what have we missed? Any final words you want to share with our audience out there?
Yes. I'd like to say one more thing before we sign off. In 30 or 40 years of being an investor and a trader and, of course, a corporate executive, I have definitely looked at a lot of opportunities, and I have recommended a lot of incredible investments to my readers. Some of them, as I mentioned earlier, have changed people's lives, have built them retirements. But here's the truth. Opportunities like this one, where a genuinely new market opens up to trade, where the pricing is so efficient and where the edge is so real and substantive and measurable, they don't come around often. I mean, I've seen this happen maybe 3 times in my entire career. Every single time, there were people who saw it early and acted, and people who waited to see how it played up. The people who acted early, they're the ones with the incredible stories, the ones sitting in the shade. The people who waited, they spent years saying, I knew about that. I was watching it. I just didn't take action. I didn't pull the trigger. And I don't want that to be you. Make the smart decision. Please become one of only 2,000 founding members of Prediction Profits. Put your name on Larry's trade distribution list. And over the next 12 months, we have so much to look forward to.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Larry, how about you? I'll give you the final word.
Look, it comes down to this. This is a brand new market. We got here before anyone has figured it out. And prediction markets right now are showing us the greatest edge that we've seen since they listed trading equities after the markets closed back in the 90s. I want to tell you something I don't say often. I'm very excited. I've traded for 40 years, stock, options, futures, and currencies. After a while, markets stopped surprising you. And then I started looking at prediction markets, and I saw the greatest edge I've seen since they listed equities for after-hours trading in the 90s. We're at the beginning, and I can't wait to help you take full advantage of this. Click the button, join me, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And most importantly, we will definitely put a P on the page.
That's a P for profits. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry we're out of time here. Jeff, Larry, a pleasure as always. You heard what the man said. Click the button on your screen. Join Prediction Profits while you still have a chance. I'm Chris Hurt. So long, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.